Consistency. As long as you continue, you bear witness what you're capable of. And if you can't do it every day, then you're not going to beat the guy who can show up and do it every day. And a question that helps me, that anchors me, whenever I'm at that crossroads between, doing it and not doing it, is typically when you're not doing it, then you're going to be partaking in something that someone else has done, Either you're watching some sort of game, football game, rugby game, you are watching social media, you're either doing or you're watching, and the question, the value system that helps me get up and get it done is the question that is, are you a consumer or a producer? And the world belongs to producers who are selective consumers. Although it is true that the biggest differentiator between the people who don't have and the people who have is that broke people know everything. Successful people are constantly learning from anyone and everyone. They're constantly asking more questions than they answer, in most cases. In some cases, it is important to educate as well, I believe, at least. I say this all the time. We get blessings just to give them to others anyway. But what you'll realize is that as you continue, you bear witness to what you're capable of, meaning you don't know what you can and cannot do. You don't know the extent of your own gifts without consistency. And so you owe it to yourself to bring that out of you, to get a full grasp, understanding of what it is that you can do. Back against the wall, push comes to shove, who are you? You don't know the answer to that until your back is against the wall, until push does come to shove. And so my advice is to keep showing up. Do it sick, do it tired, do it healthy, do it happy, do it sad, do it warm, do it cold. Just under any circumstance, make sure that you keep doing it, because that is what true success is being able to find it within yourself to continue. Regardless of what the circumstances may be around that continuation, you just need to make sure that you keep showing up. If you want to put yourself in the best position possible, of course. And with that consistency, yes, the accolades begin to come together. The wins begin to stack on top of one another, but I believe it is equally as important as getting there, to make sure that when you are there, you don't care who gets the credit. It is one thing to be driven by fame. It is one thing to be driven by recognition. But what you'll come to realize is that empires and civilizations fall when people care who gets the credit. And so for that consistency at the highest level, not even at the highest level, I really believe that even at my level, the lowest possible level, it is still applicable that when you don't care who gets the credit for getting it done, and you care more so that it gets done, then you will be in positions where fruitful things are being done and getting done as a result of that. And you may be in a leadership position even. In most of those cases, you may be doing most of the donkey work, you may be doing most of the work that other people don't want to do. And, someone may be doing the shiny work, or the work that is surface level that most people get to see. But I believe that as long as you are fairly compensated within yourself, not by the external. As long as within yourself you know the amount of work that you put in to make happen what had to happen, as long as you're in that position where the internal is validating the internal, because nothing external is valuable enough. You know, there is no piece of gold that is worth internal satisfaction. You know, you could be in a position where you've done the biggest thing externally, but it wasn't in alignment with what you desired internally, and you'll be unhappy. You could have the smallest victory, and that victory is instead towards your internal desires, your internal hopes and dreams. And that small victory could be worth to you much more than a much larger victory in something that you don't care about. And so again, as long as you continue to trudge forward, as long as you continue to plow through the snow, to chop through that Amazon forest, then what you'll find on the other side is victory. And you know, I heard this thing earlier today. Sorry about that, I have a runny nose, so apologize if I keep touching my face. I really don't like doing it, but you know, circumstance that we're in, doing it anyway. What I heard today was the fallacy of thinking people will notice when you fail, because they barely notice when you succeed. Meaning the fact that people come out and are seen as overnight successes means that people only notice when they succeed, and they barely even notice then. You know, it may only be in your niche, in your industry, in your close circle, where people realize where you've come from and what you've done, or the significance of what you've done. Meaning that when you don't do it, when you haven't done it, no one's really going to notice. And I think the power of this, or the effect of this, is really magnified when you are a marketer. When you are in the industry of marketing and sales, what you learn very quickly is that people don't notice things. And so you get tired of your ad, you get tired of your video, you get tired of creating content even way before people ever even notice that you do it. And so I remember, I think it was a few days ago, I was literally looking at at some shorts that I put out. Now I've come from doing 7 shorts a day when I had a bit more time on my hands to now full-time student. I do about 3 shorts a day. And then I drop a long form video Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Say that to say, I was looking at some of the shorts that I'm putting out, right? So you can do the math on it. I mean, within 10 days, that's 30 pieces from just shorts. You can make that 60, because I put them out on TikTok and YouTube. And then you can add so about 63 pieces of content, which is, you know, a lot less than I used to, but it's still a decent chunk of content that I'm putting out. Now I say that to say what? The other day I'm looking at some shorts that I created, and it felt like it took a while for me to make them, but it was only like, say, enough for 5 days, 6 days, and I'm looking at this. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm sick and tired of seeing my own face and seeing me talking so much. Then I was like, I'm in a good spot. You know? I'm like, okay, now we're cooking. You know, we're cooking with gas now. Because if you haven't gotten to the point where you are almost, I wouldn't say sick and tired of creating the content, because obviously you want to have a bit of enthusiasm, you want to have stuff to say, and you want to put yourself in a position where you are doing it, and you're not necessarily loving the doing, but the doing is getting done, and you enjoy being a part of the process, at least sometimes. I'm not saying enjoy it all the time, but hopefully most of the time, you would enjoy, doing what you do. Otherwise, why are you doing it? And the point is looking down and thinking, man, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of seeing this face, and I'm sick and tired of just saying the stuff, just having stuff to say. And then I was like, okay, we're in a good spot right now. I feel like we're creating not enough content, but we're doing all right. We're doing decently. Because if you're still excited to do it, that means you're probably not doing that much. Because the real work starts when the excitement ends. The real work begins when the excitement to work ends. Because before that, you're just having fun. You're not really grudging through. You're not keeping your head down. You're not stiffening your spine and being relentless. There's nothing to it. When you're doing it at that surface level. But when you get beyond that is when you begin to dance with the stars. You begin to dine with the gods. You begin to walk in the footsteps of every great that has come before you in any industry, is they found something that they enjoyed, that they had some level of an affinity towards, some sort of talents that made them good at what they do. And then they followed that path until they met that wall of resistance that is, man, this is not that easy anymore. It's not that fun, because my level of talent is in a space where there are other people at that level of talent, and talent's not enough anymore. Now I actually have to get some reps in. I have to practice. Anytime I take too much time away, say from this, I really see it in my day-to-day life that my speech is not as sharp, my thinking is not as sharp, because I'm not pushing and challenging myself to find not necessarily new ideas and concepts, but to reapply and hopefully deepen my understanding of the core concepts that it does take to ultimately succeed. And I feel that when you are in that position, when you're in that spot that takes you from average to more than, it is all about that repetition more than it is about new concepts and ideas. I don't even necessarily believe in new anyway, because everything is a remix or reiteration of something else. I think new is almost impossible, if not just straight up impossible. If you take a look at if you take a look at it historically, I really do think it's some improvement. I think there's a difference between new and improved. Or if you're going to define improved as new, then sure, we can have that conversation. But I don't think anything is really brand new. I mean, even if you think of artificial intelligence, we already have such a thing as intelligence. We've already made artificial things. But this is just a computerized version that is more automated. Like we've already had Google for years. But this is just a lot more automated in terms of you search one thing, it searches through everything else, in order to generate you an answer. And so that's a combination of things. That's innovation, not necessarily invention. Even though, do you know what I'm saying? So it improved, I suppose, can be defined as new in that sense. But as long as you make those incremental improvements, then the times when those big pops and jumps do happen, they will just be a bonus to you. As long as you stay in the cut, you just stay in the cut, bro. Keep showing up, you keep improving. As long as you stay in the pocket of progression, then you'll find that your life will not pass you by, and you will be there every single day doing a little bit, until one day it all falls down. until that day, I will be Sage, standing on business. Signing out.